got a shot? That's Gustavo, audible activity. This is the demon that was molesting with impossible light activity. A license with a minor in the car, 9GCE 391, while the entity sounds helicopter activity. Those children are going to be taken away. They're also engaged in group stalking with both of their parents. And she's monitoring with Gustavo, who's used as a skateboard crossing path. That's what he was doing while I was inside of my apartment, and the light source was setting through my apartment, and the entity was sounding helicopter activity. She just engaged in that with Gustavo again. He's going to federal prison. Him and his little sister are going to be prosecuted for group stalking. The entity is sounding helicopter while she crosses paths. So this is how the demon possessed express hostility together. Let me be clear, that's a communication of a threat by a demon-possessed population. So I want to be clear, in the same way that they are acting with impunity, a federal judge is not going to restrain themselves with regard to your punishment. Okay? They demonstrate impunity when they engage in that to their own demise. These are violent sex offenders and obsessed stalkers, including going by the name of Gustavo, okay? The entity is engaging in this while they're monitoring documentation. She's standing group stalking while the entity sounds helicopter, knowing that they're waiting for me to walk outside of my office. They're a bunch of freaks. She's got children and she's concerned with me. She's engaged in sexual violence while she's in custody with her children, and so then, which is expression of hostility by a demon. She engages in repeating that conduct again, crossing path while the entity sounds helicopter activity. This is Iris Carnero, okay? Engaging in what is obstruction of justice with Don Noggle, while that same entity stalks with helicopter. 5XNJ982, crossing path coming onto the grounds of the property. This is P.O.C. All right, I want to be clear, at no time of day, that was the demon that you saw. Engineered light was moving all across this wall, and she touched all over my genitalia, my thighs, and my bottom portion of my body while she's group stalking in the path, okay? That's the one that's in the custody of minor children, crossing path in concert with LAPD, who sounds helicopter activity, engaging in obstruction of justice and harassment as an entity, showing how mentally unstable you are, engaging in what is the creation of audible activity through another third party who's calling, asking questions that they know the answer to. That's why they engage in those futile acts of retaliation, which I'm going to document, and I'm going to submit it in federal court, and you're going to have a very hard time getting custody of those children that you're engaging in sexual violence and terrorism with. They're literally sitting in the back seat, just like you saw the other day. The daughter was sitting in the back seat, and she's being a whole sex offender and a demon and a terrorist. Okay? It is currently 5:07 p.m. That was, again, I want you to be clear what the entity is doing. She's group stalking, standing on the sidewalk, entirely focused on me, a demon that's seeking to engage in very passive aggressive methods of retaliation. Standing at the sidewalk, she's monitoring the entity sounds helicopter activity. And then as I'm walking in a different direction, she then uses her vehicle that's in alignment to me while I'm on the sidewalk. This is a demon stalking in the path with light, monitoring. As she drives by, crossing path, the entity sounds helicopter activity. I just want to make sure I itemize that. This is the communication of a threat from a specific third party. It'll be attributed to her, but this is an entity that's acting together, and you already know how obsessed the demons are of these these police departments. Those are the same entity that engage in criminal summoning. That's the same entity, and they make up information. They artificially engineer alternative facts, okay, and they submit them in courts. And these district attorneys, these corrupt courthouses where the specific venue is present, they engage in monitoring in these venues, and then they're engaging in what is kidnapping, exercising fictitious authority. The same demons that are sexually molesting you and then seeking to obstruct justice. And those are the same ones that are acting with that same police department, those corrupt agencies that are providing probable cause and claiming to have warrants. They're abusing their positions, and they're engaging in this demonic retaliation together. Those are the ones that have no probable cause. They have no legitimacy whatsoever. And LAPD in particular, those are violent sex offenders engaging in what are acts of sexual violence that I have yet to itemize for the public, and I'm going to prosecute them. They're exceedingly violent sex offenders, which is the entity that's engaging in group stalking. But they engage in specific sexual violence while I've remained in Alvarado Gardens, and they're going to be prosecuted for that. And those sex offenders that are threatening my life, flying in circles all around me on a day-to-day basis, in circles showing that they're psychopaths and they're also demon-possessed, and they're also monitoring documentation while they engage in that pattern. It's not a coincidence that you just engage in repeating the act of what it's already unique for me to point that out, right? It's not a coincidence that they engaging in what is something very highly peculiar on its surface, and it's so unique that I pointed out, and then they're engaging in it again. And remember, it's happening in the specific environment. Those are demons that are monitoring documentation, and since they like to openly engage in terrorism, that's also relevant to that level of sexual violence that they're inflicting against the target individual. All right, and that is communicated through a demon such as Iris Carnero. Okay, it is currently Want to make sure that you understand that, because all of this is going to be submitted in federal court. All right. This is the personalization of a threat by an entity that's being exposed and prosecuted. And that threat to the life of the ordinary target individual, you have a right to not be subject to it. And then you have a right to not be subject to the acts of retaliation, which is a threat to your life, because they together engage in what is criminal summoning and kidnapping you. OK, so I want to be clear. It is again 5:10 p.m. This is P.O.C. These demons are just pacing up and down. This is the ongoing state surveillance that's underway in LA. They're monitoring me while my panties are down, also in my bedroom, while the entity's aiming a sun as though the sun is setting through my bedroom. They're engaging in this criminal conduct, all right? Sexual violence by the masses, all right? Invasion of privacy as an entity by the masses. This is what the secret society is engaging in. Nothing elite about it at all, and they're all going to be facing a federal prosecution. Very far-reaching, all the way up to the hillside, very far-reaching prosecution. Everything that I'm itemizing about what the entity is doing, they're all engaging in that state system, all right? POC.